Shouldn't be.
Spirit may move it.
We've been at this long enough, it should be dangerous.
Very dangerous. The grace and peace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you. I bring you greetings from the church family of Greenbelt Community Church, United Church of Christ in Greenbelt, Maryland, where 4 years ago David graciously performed installation duties as assigned for my installation, and we are all delighted to return the favor. I also want to thank you for your kind hospitality before and during our stay here. I spent some time in the area after I graduated from college, and so the last 2 days have reminded me why I always loved living here. I also started talking a little Southern again, so I'll try not to do that. The scripture lesson that I chose for today has caused a little consternation in its preparation, as you can probably see from the slide behind me. It is also an Old Testament reading, and it comes from Genesis, and it is the start of the creation narrative. It can best be described as Genesis 1.5. In the beginning, God. May God bless to our understanding the words that we hear today. As Reverend Hayes has probably told you, I am not one, or he can tell you, I am not one to do things halfway. So why in the world did I choose half of a scripture sentence for my reading today? That's a really good question, and one that I hope I can answer for you in the next hour or so. You're nervous now, right? Will you pray with me, please? May the words of my mouth and the meditation of all of our hearts and minds be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. In the beginning, God. In the beginning, God. In the beginning, God. Any way you say it, I think those are 4 of the most incredible words ever. In the beginning, God. In the beginning, God. Do you see what I mean? Now, you and I, we know the rest of the story. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, yada, yada, yada. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think that all too often we leave creation and creating right there in Genesis. We shut the book when we finish reading the story, and we fail to see creation and all of the many other incredible, fabulous points of beginning that God is in each and every day. Reverend Hayes. I wanted to take some time today to think about some of those in the beginning God moments in your life and ministry. But to go forward, I need to heed the words of our preaching professor, Dan Mosley, who always told us that sometimes before you can go forward, you need to read back a little bit. So today I need to go back a little bit. Okay, I need to go back about 15 years. It's been that long. In the beginning, God found you and I meeting that first day of orientation at Christian Theological Seminary in Indianapolis on a hot August day in 2002. Standing in line for something, you were talking with some of the younger first career seminarians, and I was chatting with some of the older second career folks. And I remember thinking, y'all were so young and incredibly cool and young and smart and clever and young. And you seemed so sure of yourselves, throwing around words like post-millennial and eschatological. And one of my favorites, pericope. And I thought, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? I don't even know what those words mean. But later, as we were invited to share our call stories, it became clear that despite our difference in age and vocabulary, all of us, you and me and our classmates, were where we needed to be, because in the beginning of our seminary endeavors, we were all so aware of God being there in that new creation that was to be us over the next 40 years. As with any good creation story, God separated our darkness and our light, turned our muddled chaos of thinking into moments of blinding clarity as a passage became clear, or a piece of theology fell into place when we all finally understood that God is always the answer, or we fell out of our chairs from lack of sleep in church history. I cannot recall for certain how many classes we shared together over the years, but it was enough that I think our snarky sense of humor continued to keep us bonded until that really fateful day when we were discussing some piece of administrative student body injustice, and you expressed your potential interest of running for student council president.
Moment of weakness.
Moment of weakness. But I said that if you would run, I would run for a council seat too. And then there we were, duly elected representatives of the student body. In the beginning, God made us put our works where our words were. I don't remember everything we did in our years on council, but I do remember that we set up an emergency help grant for our fellow students. We made certain that no one went hungry when they were at school, and we developed a grant program for the churches that supported the SCOPE students, the students who were doing their preaching, as a way of giving back to communities of faith that supported us in our work. But David, I think my biggest in the beginning God moment came when you started to invite me to teach and preach at Northeast United Church of Christ, where you were serving as a student pastor. It was a small congregation, maybe 25, 20 on a good day. Many of the congregants were transgendered men who came to church there because they could worship as their true selves. Women who so honestly and freely shared their stories with us, with me. I remember specifically 6'5" Winifred, who was Fred, the construction worker during the week, and who was so tearfully thankful for the love and the safety of her church on weekends. The beautiful, delicate, blonde lady who always sat in the front on the lectern side, who thanked me for being there each time that I was, and her deep bass voice always surprising me. In the beginning, God knew that I was an LGBTQ ally, but that I didn't know that I had never experienced the hurt that the church had caused in the lives of too many of God's beloved children. I don't know if you ever knew what a profound experience those times were for me. But in the beginning, God knew that I needed to see the hurt of God's beloved for myself. And I've always been thankful to you that you invited me along for that learning. Dear church, I am not going to go through every single in the beginning God moment from the last 15 years. There's too many of them. But I will say that through all of those years, God got David where he needed to be to serve God during that time. And God has once again called, and David has once again answered. And here we are for a new, in the beginning, God. When I chose to use just a portion of the creation narrative to preach today, I decided that I better go back and read the whole text again. And I did. And what I found was not just a creation story. What I found was a statement of faith. When I read the story of creation again, I was reminded of the unique relationship that we are invited into again and again with the divine. As a denomination, the Christian Church Disciple of Christ has been around since the 1800s. And Virginia Beach Christian Church Disciples of Christ has been here since 1972. And David has been ordained since 2006. You have all experienced the unique relationship with God. Individually, you are not all new creations. But today, together, you are. In the beginning, God has brought you, David, and you, Virginia Beach Christian Church, together to create a new partnership in ministry. Woohoo! I have amen there in parentheses, so. Amen! All right. In his commentary on Genesis for the workingpastor.org, Roger Nam points out that God's creation is built to go somewhere. The potential of becoming is built into the very structure of things. Creation is built to go somewhere. The potential of becoming is built into the very structure of things. So the question I put to you today is, where are you going to go? What is the potential that you, as partners in ministry, are built for? What is your creation going to look like? In the beginning, God exhibited a certain amount of flair and style. On the one hand, we know that there was an orderly progression of creation starting with light. On the other hand, there was also a bit of messiness, with the wind blowing across the face of the waters. Living here on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean, you know that the wind has a mind of its own. We often don't know what will come of being windswept, but we are reminded in John 3:8 that the wind blows where it will. And usually we find the Spirit in it. And so I wonder for you, how is your creative flair? In this new ministry partnership, will you be able to create some messiness? Will you open the way for the windswept Spirit to blow in and make room for an in the beginning God? In the beginning, God started out on a plan of creation that was not a sudden one-day thing. There was no snapping of the divine fingers that immediately brought everything into being. God took God's time in creating in the beginning. And as much as you all are delighted to have a settled pastor, and David is delighted to be here with you, I want to take this moment to remind you all, pastor and church, that creation is a long-term project. It should never happen overnight. It should never be a one-time thing. You need to sit in the idea of created and always creating. But first, you do need to settle in with each other. David loves history. Being a historian, he will want to hear your stories. He will want to learn your history, and he will honor it. And at the same time, he will want to start to bring in some new creations here. I know that everybody is excited to go forward, but in this beginning, give yourselves the gift and the freedom of a little bit of time, because kingdom changing takes time. And you need to see where in this beginning God is moving you. And you need to commit to do some moving. As author Sibley Counter observes, if there was no freedom in this creation, no touches of disorder, no open ends, then moral choice, creativity, and excellence could not arise. The world would be a monotonous cycle of inevitability, as dull as a dishwasher world of puppets and automations. Dear ones, other into being the very best creation of yourself that God is calling you to be. In my denomination, the United Church of Christ, we say, God is still speaking. And in this beginning, I encourage you to covenant with each other to allow time to create a sacred space in which to hear God speaking with you. To hear God's word. David will be listening for that word with you and for you. But I invite you in to listen with him, so that in this beginning, God will speak a new creation into being once again. Sometimes that will mean that things feel like they are changing very, very fast, and other times very, very slow. Be assured that God is working in God's time, and learn to live into what we pastors call the yet and the not yet. On this first day going forward in this creation story, I wish you all the fullness of half a sentence. In the beginning, God. The sentence really is just waiting for you all at VBCC to write your own creation narrative, your own statement of faith, your own way together in God's world, so that every year, as you celebrate many anniversaries of your ministry partnership, that you can look at all that you have created and say together, it is good. Hallelujah.